Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Yes, I look exactly the same as I did in my last video, and that's because I literally just made it. I'm trying to take advantage of the snow day and get some videos out of the way. Also, I'm trying to get as many filmed as possible before the sun goes down because, as I mentioned in my last video, my ring light broke, so I'm using my window as lighting. So let's get into this video. So this is going to be a really quick Q&A. So I have this book that I keep on my YouTube video ideas and scripts basically that I make for myself, and I was going through it today and I realized I had some questions that I made like a whole year ago that I had gotten from comments that you guys leave on my videos, and I always comment, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a Q&A, I'm gonna answer this, and I never made the video. So I have some questions that I came across in this notebook from forever ago, so I'm gonna address them today. So sorry for the delay, but better late than never, I hope. And now I lost a page. Alright, so I have like 3 main questions I'm going to be answering. So just to let you guys know, the first one is about beauty school, the second one is about staying safe as a traveling hairstylist, and the third one is about managing being a traveling hairstylist on my own and working in a salon for somebody else. So those are my main 3 questions, so you guys can skip around according to what you want to hear. They're not related to each other at all, so just want to put that there. So anyway, so the first question I got asked was, would I recommend beauty school for braiding, and also which beauty school would I recommend? So first and foremost, if you want to do braiding and just braiding, I don't recommend beauty school at all. It'll be no help to you whatsoever. You don't need a license to be a braider, and a beauty school does not teach braiding. They don't teach any type of natural hairstyling. They don't teach black hair or ethnic hair at all. In school, you learn enough to get your license, and that's it. And braiding is not on your state board exam, so therefore you're not going to learn it in school, which sucks because I really wanted to learn it, and I thought I would learn it better, but they really don't touch it at all. The most you would learn is how to do an actual braid, like take 3 strands of hair and cross and cross and cross. That's it. They don't teach you anything about adding hair. I think we did learn to cornrow the hair, but it wasn't like drilled on us like everything else was. Like a lot of things we learned, like they go over it over and over. For braiding, we had like a day when we did like box braids without hair, and then another day a few months later we did cornrows, and that was it. They really don't focus on it at all, and that goes along with doing sew-ins and doing crochet styles. And do we even do like, well, silk pressing wasn't even a thing when I was in school, but I'm like blowout and flat iron. I guess we did that too, but it's not focused on. So if all you want to do is braiding and stuff like that, don't go to school. You'll waste your time and you'll waste a lot of money because it's not necessary. So along with that, I was asked which school I would recommend going to. I'm assuming this person, I should have written down who asked the questions, but like I said, these were from a year ago. But this person, I'm assuming they were asking like which school I'd recommend for braiding, but just in case they're asking which school I recommend as a whole, the honest truth is, if you want to go to cosmetology school, I recommend going to the one that's most convenient, and that's like by location or by the tuition fees or whatever. You don't have to go to a name brand school. The education is no different. I know, like, when I was in school, everybody who went there, like, we would have preferred to go to Empire or Metro Beauty Academy, or we had another one called Jolie Hair Academy. All these schools are like 45 minutes to an hour away from where I live, and I would have preferred to go to any of them just because they had a name. But the school I went to was like just a regular school. It wasn't a chain school, it wasn't a brand school, but it was convenient because it's close by. And at the time I was 19, I had just turned 19 when I started cosmetology school, and I didn't have my own car yet, so I had to get dropped off to school. So it wouldn't have been convenient for me to be going that far away. So the school I went to was like 15 minutes away from where I lived at the time, so that was more convenient. But the reason I didn't want to go there was because it was a low budget school, and a lot of us didn't like it because it was so low budget. Like, we even had water pressure issues. We were always out of towels. Like, we seemed like kind of back in time, you know, setting wise. But at the end of the day, the education is exactly the same wherever you go, because you need to know the same amount of skills to pass your state board exams. I mean, granted, every state is different with state boards, because I believe what you need to know for state boards is the same throughout the country, but the amount of hours that you need for your license is different. But the state boards are probably a little bit different too, and also the laws are different. But anyway, what I'm saying is, no matter where you go, you're going to learn the same stuff, because you have to know what you need to know to pass the state boards. Like, no matter what school you go to, we all take the same exam, and the people who run the exams are from the Pennsylvania or wherever board of cosmetology. So long story short, where you go does not matter. You're going to learn the same thing. So even though I went to a low budget school rather than one of those high end schools, I still ended up passing both my state board exams on the first try, which shows that I'm just as licensed or as experienced as I would have been had I gone anywhere else. So for me to spend my time traveling and also paying as much more money as I would have paid because they have a name attached, it wouldn't have changed the education whatsoever. So long story short, don't let the names fool you. Don't let the status fool you. They're still going to teach you what you have to learn. It's like learn to drive. Like no matter what driving school you go to or whether you learn from your parents, your driving test is still going to be the same no matter where you go or where you learned. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't let the names fool you. Just go to wherever is most convenient. So next question I got asked is how to stay safe, and that's because I am a traveling stylist. I go to houses to do hair, and most of my clients, I only know them as my clients. I didn't know them before. They're not friends. They're not people that are guaranteed to keep me safe. Long story short. When I first started traveling, I only did friends here, and then I eventually started doing friends of friends. But as I decided to brand myself as a traveling stylist, I ended up going to strangers' houses because people were finding me online and asking me to come do their hair. So, to be completely honest with you guys, there's no guaranteed way to stay safe. That's just the truth of the matter. I guess I could say that I've just been fortunate enough to never be in a dangerous situation, but obviously the risk is always there. But there are precautions that you can always take. I know some traveling stylists say that they never go by themselves, and at first I was like that too. Like I always wanted somebody to come with me if I was going farther than a certain distance, but the truth is that's really inconvenient for whoever that person is because people can't be changing their work schedule to accompany you on your work, so that's not really a guaranteed thing to do. So what I do to keep myself safe is, the main thing is I never go anywhere without telling somebody where I'm going. And I mean like down to the actual physical address. I don't just say what city I'm going to. I don't just say what area I'm going to be in. I say I'm going to be at 1164 Marshmallow Avenue, whatever city. You know what I'm saying? So like I've mentioned before, I live with my family. I don't live alone. So I always say what time I'm expecting to be home. So if nobody's hearing from me after a certain time, they know to call and check on me. And if they don't hear from me, then, they'll take whatever actions are necessary. But like I said, fortunately, I've never been in a dangerous situation where that was necessary. But the thing is, I always have somebody checking on me all the time. And I've been doing this for years and it's never changed. Like, always, don't ever get too comfortable. Where I live is generally a safe area, but with the way the world is nowadays, I feel like safe neighborhoods don't really exist anymore because we have like violence breaking out like in the places you would least expect it nowadays. So that's not really a thing anymore. But so far where I am and where I travel to, it's not really too dangerous. So I've been feeling pretty comfortable for the most part. But no matter what, I never get so comfortable to the fact where I will just go somewhere and not tell anybody where I am. So what I usually do is text somebody the address of where I am. Or what I also have is this binder right here. This is my client book. And in it, I have all these pages, which I'm obviously not going to open because people's addresses are in there. But the first thing on every page is the name and address. And it's all alphabetized. So whether I've been to your house once or 50 times or I'm there like every week, your address is in here. And don't worry, I'm not just sharing that with the world or all my friends or anything. This is just in my house. So I always tell my family which client I'm going to be at that day. So if I don't send them the address, it's at least right here if for any reason they need to find me. So yeah, so the main thing I could say is just make sure that somebody knows where you are and they know when you're expecting to be finished. So they know when to check on you if it's been too long and they haven't heard from you. Also, make sure your location on your phone is always on just because things happen. So make sure that you can be tracked by somebody. But yeah, the fact of the matter is there will unfortunately never be 100% guarantee that I'm going to be okay where I am. But I've been fortunate this far, through prayer and everything. I've been safe. I've never been in any dangerous situation. The most dangerous situation that I've ever been in was where a client's father actually kicked me out of the house because he didn't like black people. I made a whole story time video on it, but that was my scariest situation, I guess I would say, and it wasn't even that bad. It was just uncomfortable. But luckily it hasn't been any worse than that. But at the end of the day, you know where you are, you know the area you're in, so you kind of just got to go off your own judgment. And if you feel like you're living in an area where you're going to be in danger going to people's houses, then obviously don't offer the service. And the last question is, how do I manage working in a shop and taking my own clients? So I have been working as a traveling stylist and a home-based hairstylist for a few years now, and I work for myself. And after the pandemic, I decided to do that only because I realized that I had enough of a clientele to live off of. But after that, I ended up getting 2 job offers, I guess you could say. One was at a beauty supply store where I did braiding there, and then the other is in the hair salon that I work at right now. The beauty supply store, I'm not there anymore because they moved and they're too far, but I still work at the salon. So yes, I have 2 separate sets of clientele, and at one point it was 3 separate sets. So the question was asking, how do I manage all that? And honestly, it's very difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I don't recommend it. I'm not complaining about it because I'm actually glad I work at the salon, because I'm very comfortable with the people that I work with there. I have a really good relationship with the owners, and I'm very happy there. But as for managing 2 separate clientele sets, it's very, very difficult. I would say one of the hardest things is just pricing, just because me working by myself and for myself, I could afford to not charge as high as I would have to charge in a salon, because in a salon I only get a percentage. So my prices, even though they're similar, they're a little bit lower just because it's just me. I try not to be too low with my prices, because one, I don't want to cheapen myself, and two, I do plan on being a salon owner one day, and I don't want to have to suddenly triple and quadruple my prices. So I try and keep my price similar, but for the most part it is a little bit lower. So it's just remembering what to charge people. Sometimes it gets a little bit complicated, especially when I was also at the shop. I had 2 different price lists to memorize and then my own, and it makes it hard with things like social media, like my Instagram. Like, I can't post my prices there because all my clients, like all categories of my clients, follow my one Instagram page. So if I post my prices, the clients from the shop are going to see it and be like, so why do I have to pay this much when you're posting that you only charge this much? And it's just going to get too complicated. So for that reason, I don't post my prices, but I do know that I probably would have more clients if they were posted, because I feel like people automatically assume that you're making up prices when your prices aren't posted in advance. So anyway, to answer the question on how I manage it, I do, kind of. So the main thing is making sure they're separate in my phone, so when they call me, I know who's who. So I always put, like, the ones from the shop, I always put the initial in parentheses. So when they show up on my phone, I know who it is. Same thing with the other shop, I did that as well. And then my regular clients, it either says hair in parentheses or it's just their name, because I just know who they are. Also, I use separate phone numbers too, just to make it a little less confusing, because my personal clients have my personal phone number. I use a Google Voice number for the clients at the shop. So just in case somebody new is calling me, I know where they're calling me from. Because one thing I dealt with a lot was I would have people call me and be like, oh, I got somebody recommended you for braids, and I want to know how much you charge. But they don't say somebody from the salon recommended you, or somebody from the beauty store recommended you, or one of your clients recommended you. So sometimes I won't know where they're calling from, so I'm like, so what do I tell them? So I literally have to be like, oh, I work at a couple different places. Who told you about me, or where did you hear about me from? And the only reason I don't like doing that is because I try not to mention to my clients that I work at different places, because I don't want them to start, like, looking up prices and be like, okay, well, let me go somewhere where I'll get the better deal, because then I feel like I kind of rob this business of that client, if that makes sense. It's like, if you found me because you've heard about me through the salon, I want you to keep coming to me at the salon, because I still consider you the salon's clients more than my client. So I don't want you to go to my other job and start coming there, because now the percentage that would have went towards the salon is going to this shop. Is that making sense? So my hardest thing is not getting them to mix themselves up. Like, it's one thing for me to keep them separated in my head or in my address book, but I don't want them to start going from place to place and being like, it doesn't matter because I'm going to the same stylist. Yes, that's their prerogative and they can go wherever they want to, but to me, I just feel like I'm robbing this one place by working in multiple places or working on my own. One thing I had tried doing in the beginning was making a schedule. So I'd have 2 or 3 days that I work on my clients, and then I'll set aside one day for the beauty store because it wasn't as busy, and then 2 days for the salon, or vice versa. I don't remember. But the thing is, that didn't really work out for me. It might work out for other people, so that could be helpful. But for me, it didn't work out just because I have some clients who, they're like, okay, what day can I come? My days off are Mondays and Tuesdays. And let's say that this is a salon client, but Mondays and Tuesdays I'm working on my clients or something. That means that I'll never be able to take them if I'm going by this little schedule that I created. So the way I do it now is just first come, first serve. So it's whatever day is free on my calendar, I give it to whoever asks for, depending on when they ask me. So yes, there are some days where I'm literally going from the shop to my house and then back to the shop, or vice versa. There are some times when it'll be a whole week and I only have my clients. Sometimes it'll be a whole week and I'm only at the shop. So it does get a little jumbled up. But, you know, at the end of the day, the best way to manage it is just using a calendar and using different phone numbers. Like, that's really all that I could say. And also, if you are doing that, where you work at a shop and you work on your own, make sure the shop knows, make sure the owners know that beforehand, just because if they just happen to find out that you're doing this, they're going to think you're stealing clients. Like, that's what it's going to look like you've been doing it behind their back. So both the places I was working at, they knew I was already working on my own, but they just needed a braider. Because that's what I do. I just work as a braider, not as a full-time stylist. But I ended up, well, now I kind of am. It just kind of happened. But I started off just being a braider because they needed a braider. But yeah, just make sure that they're aware so it doesn't seem shady in any way, shape, or form. And also, don't steal clients. If you have clients at a salon, don't be like, oh, you can come to my house and I'll charge you less because you're at my house. Because like I said, when you work at a salon, depending on how the shop works, but if they do commission, that means that they get a percentage. So for you to take that stylist, that client away, you rob the shop of that percentage. That's the money that would have went in their hands. So it's stealing. Any way you look at it, it's stealing. Do not steal clients. If you leave the shop and you don't work there anymore and the client chooses to follow you, that's completely different. But for you to go behind the owner's back and bring their clients to your house, that's out of line. Don't do that. A lot of times some clients would even say, oh, you can come to my house and, you know, all the money would be yours and you don't have to keep doing this. And they'll try and talk me into doing their hair outside of the shop, but I'm always just like, no, I can't do that. I won't do that. And that's why I try not to even let them know that I do the traveling. But like I said, if they follow me on Instagram, they know that already. But I would literally say, like, yeah, if they even question it, I'll say, yeah, I travel. I've been doing it before I worked here. But all the clients that I travel to are out of the area. You know, I just leave it at that. I make it clear somehow that I'm not going to offer that to you. Like, I nip it in the bud right then and there. But if they offer it, I'll just straight up say, no, I'm not going to do that because that would be like I'm stealing you. And they're like, oh, no, don't worry. I don't mind. But it's not that. It's a principle. Like, I'm not going to take you from the shop. And, like, I appreciate the fact that I'm even trusted enough to work there, even though they know I'm working at my house too. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to do anything to betray that trust. So yeah, I feel like I was all over the place with that answer. But yeah, long story short, it's hard to handle it, but I manage it somehow by just keeping names and numbers separate and being very on top of my calendar. And yeah, that's that. So yeah, those are the 3 main questions that I want to answer, and as I figured this video is already pretty long, so I'm going to leave it there. But I'm going to try and be more on top of my question and answer videos because I do get a lot of questions in my comments, and I try and like sum them all up and make question and answer videos like every few months or whatever, so I'm going to try and be more on top of that. But I like honestly just lost this page in my notebook, and I just found it today. So that's that. That is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!